The story did not begin with gunshots or sirens. It began quietly, with information passed in low tones, careful observation, and weeks of watching movements that most people would never notice. What unfolded across parts of Taraba State in mid-January 2026 was one of those moments that reminds people how fragile peace can be and how much work goes into protecting it. Troops of 6th Brigade, Sector 3, Operation WHIRL STROKE, had been watching, listening, and waiting. For weeks, intelligence reports pointed to the movement of illegal weapons through communities that were trying hard to live normal lives. Nothing loud, nothing obvious, just small movements, suspicious patterns, and names that kept coming up in security briefings. Then the soldiers moved.
On 11 January 2026, the operation took its first major step forward at Sebos Joint, Mayor Dasa area of Jalingo local government area. Sebos Joint is the kind of place where people stop for food, conversation, and rest. Motorcycles come and go, traders shout prices, life moves on without much attention. That was exactly why the arrest that happened there went almost unnoticed by many passers-by. Security operatives picked up Mr. Christopher Adamu, a suspected gun runner. There were no sirens, no resistance, just a clean, professional arrest carried out after sustained surveillance. To most people around, it looked like just another day. But for the soldiers and intelligence officers involved, it was the result of patience and careful planning. One piece of a larger puzzle had finally fallen into place. Now, at this point, many might think the job was done. One suspect arrested, problem solved. But illegal arms trafficking does not work that way.
Less than 24 hours later, on 12 January 2026, the operation continued, this time in Murubai Village, Ardo-Kola in local government area. Murubai Village is quieter than Jalingo. People know each other. News travels fast. Strangers are noticed. That morning, troops moved in and arrested Mr. James Yang, another suspected gun runner. Again, the arrest was calm and controlled. No violence, no intimidation, just firm professionalism. For the villagers watching from a distance, emotions were mixed. Some were surprised, others were not. One resident later said, "You never really know people. Someone can greet you every day and still be hiding something dangerous." With two suspects now in custody, security agencies began to connect the dots, and that is where the story deepened. During questioning and analysis, new information emerged. Locations were mentioned, movements were traced. One name stood out more clearly than the rest, Mr. Bazo John. According to credible intelligence gathered by troops working alongside operatives of the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, weapons were being stored at his residence in Murubai Village, Ardo-Kola, LGA. Murubai is not a place people associate with crime. It is a farming community, peaceful on the surface, where evenings are calm and mornings start early. But history has taught security agencies a hard lesson. Illegal arms often hide in quiet places. So the troops prepared carefully. Early on the day of the operation, before the village fully came alive, soldiers approached Murubai with precision. Vehicles slowed before entering. Troops dismounted quietly. Positions were taken. There was no shouting, no rush, just discipline. Residents noticed something was different. Curtains shifted. People paused mid-step. A few elders whispered among themselves.
For villagers, the arrival of soldiers can trigger fear. Not because they have done anything wrong, but because they don't know what might happen next. In places that have seen violence before, even the sight of uniforms can reopen old anxieties. But this time, the atmosphere remained calm. The operation was a well-coordinated cordon and search, carried out with restraint and respect for civil authority. Doors were approached carefully, instructions were given politely. No one was mistreated. And then the search reached the residence linked to Mr. Bazo John. Inside the house, soldiers found exactly what intelligence had warned about. Hidden away were one AK-47 rifle, one magazine, and 4 rounds of live ammunition. It was a small cache,
But its impact could have been massive. One AK-47 can destabilize an entire community. One magazine can support repeated attacks. 4 bullets are enough to destroy families forever.
But even as early as the military were in the village, the suspect himself was gone. Mr. Bazo John had fled, likely tipped off or sensing that the net was closing in. But his escape did not erase the evidence. The weapons were secured, documented, and removed from circulation. Most importantly, the operation ended without a single casualty. No soldier injured, no civilian harmed, no shot fired. In a country where security operations often come with tragic consequences, this mattered. As soldiers wrapped up and prepared to leave, Murubai Village slowly exhaled. People began to talk. Some were shocked. "We never imagined something like this could be here," a woman said softly. Others admitted they had suspicions. "There were movements at odd hours," one man explained. "But fear makes people keep quiet." There was relief too, deep, genuine relief. Parents held their children a little tighter that evening. Elders sat together longer than usual, discussing what had happened and what it meant. The weapons were gone. A danger had been removed, but the experience left a lesson behind. Following the successful operation, Brigadier General Kingsley Chidibere Uwa, commander of 6th Brigade, Sector 3, Operation WHIRL STROKE, praised the troops. He described their actions as a reflection of discipline, courage, and professionalism, emphasizing that the success once again highlighted the power of intelligence-driven operations. According to him, the operation showed the Nigerian Army's resolve to decisively tackle arms proliferation and criminal activities within its area of responsibility. He urged the troops to sustain the momentum while maintaining the highest standards of conduct and respect for civilians. He also assured them of continued support from higher headquarters. For the soldiers on the ground, it was more than praise. It was reassurance that their quiet, risky work mattered. But here's where the story stretches beyond one village or one operation. Illegal arms trafficking is one of the biggest threats to peace in Nigeria today. These weapons do not stay in one place. They move from village to village, from state to state, from one criminal group to another. They turn small disputes into deadly conflicts. They empower kidnappers. They give confidence to bandits. They make violence easier and peace harder. Taraba State has made progress towards stability, but that progress remains delicate. Every rifle recovered matters. Every network disrupted saves lives. What stands out most in this story is not force, but patience. The arrests on 11 and 12 January did not happen by accident. They were the result of sustained surveillance, long hours of observation, and cooperation between different security agencies. There was no rush to score headlines, no need for drama. Instead, the focus was clear: dismantle the network, not just arrest individuals. Security agencies were quick to remind the public that community cooperation remains vital. Someone somewhere noticed suspicious behavior. Someone shared information. Someone chose to speak rather than stay silent. That choice made all the difference. Fear is understandable, but silence is dangerous. As one officer quietly put it, criminals survive where people are afraid to talk. However, ongoing efforts indicate that the operation is not over. Efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing suspect and to recover any additional weapons connected to the network. Security forces remain on alert. Surveillance continues. Intelligence channels remain open. The goal is clear: deny criminal elements the space to operate. This brings us a moment to reflect and imagine the alternative. What if those weapons had been moved before the operation? What if they had fallen into the hands of violent groups? What if Murubai Village had become another name on a long list of places scarred by gun violence? That future was quietly prevented. As this operation occurred, it serves as a big lesson for everyone. For residents, be observant, report suspicious movements, protect your community through information. For communities, support security agencies, encourage trust, reject the presence of illegal weapons. For security forces, keep building trust, stay intelligence-led, and maintain professionalism. The story doesn't end here. As night falls across Taraba State,
roads grow quieter, villages settle into rest, soldiers remain on watch. The recovered rifle will never fire another shot, the bullets will never take a life, and a criminal network has lost ground. Peace, once again, was protected, not by noise or force, but by discipline, cooperation, and quiet courage. And in that silence, there is hope.